Hello and welcome to the RetroMacCast with James and John, where in each episode we'll stroll down the Macintosh memory lane. We'll discuss older Macintosh computers, collecting all things related to the Mac and Apple computer, and current topics from the perspective that only a couple of old Mac fans can provide.
That's right.
Yes.
Here we are. Greetings
Here we
to
are.
Gray Hair Discoveries. The only person so far that has joined in the chat. I'm sure there will be others.
We'll see.
It'll be a lonely chat room if it's just one person. 2 in a row. It was touch and go there for a little while because,
Oh, really? Oh.
well, I mean, you were nowhere to be found. Usually we're both in like,
Oh, yeah. Sometimes almost an hour
before,
early.
yeah, almost an hour beforehand. It was like 30 till, and
I
John
was
was
here.
absent.
I was here. I was in the middle of... So,
Yeah.
512K that's behind me. It's got one of the Raminator chips in it. And
The Raminator.
the Raminator. Boop. Anyway,
There it is.
So there's the flash tool that's available for basically making the built-in disk image whatever you want.
Mhm.
Did I accidentally go to this view? There we go.
I did it for
okay.
emphasis. I'm playing around with camera angles to give a little visual
I
interest.
see,
So every
I
once
see.
in a while.
So my goal is to get a disk image that will run toasters. Right now I got fish on there. So anyway, yeah. So I that's what I was. So I was to make sure I was making something that would run in 512K. I was working on using the variation service on Griffle to make a 512K
I see.
emulator.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah.
You lost track of
So
time.
engrossed in that, totally lost track of time.
It happens. Yes. Well, we're here now. Now you can focus on this. What are we talking about today? We're going to do a time capsule. We're going to look back at the May-June episode or issue of Macworld in 1984. Back when they were doing combo issues.
Every other month, huh?
Yeah. So I got that. We got eBay finds. We got news. The WWDC kicked off today, so we can talk about that too. So we'll but first we need to start the episode for real, I guess.
Oh, sure.
I thought we were
yeah.
recording. Let's go ahead and hit that record button in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the RetroMacCast with James and John. This is episode 683 for June 10th, 2024. Good evening, John.
Good evening, James.
Well, let's see. We didn't preview this week last week, but we did settle on doing a time capsule. Typically, we go back and forth between Mac Attic and Macworld. They both had interesting cover stories and lots of good stuff inside, but we went Macworld this time. So we'll go back to.
I have to say, it's an exciting time for the Macworlds, it being the first year.
The first year, yes.
Of Macworlds, yes.
Yeah, 40 years ago. So we've got that. We've got eBay finds. We've got news, including WWDC. There are some notes of retro goodness in WWDC, which we'll talk about.
All right.
And what else? I think that's good enough.
That sounds like an episode to me.
Yeah,
sure.
There's lots to talk about. Okay, let's come back with some eBay finds. Welcome, Andy East Coast.
East Coast Andy. You don't want to be confused with West Coast Andy. That bastard.
Let's see here. We're going to go eBay finds, and let's go ahead and get going on 3, 2, 1. Time now for eBay finds. Last week we had the Macintosh 2X that looks to be previously owned by Apple Computer itself. Buy it now. It's still $395. Remember, this is the one that was sort of an as-is condition. It looked pretty good. $395. No make an offer. And then we had the the Macintosh Color Classic 2, all the way from
Oh,
Japan.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Boy, this one went for far less than I would have guessed, or
Oh,
that I
really?
even guessed. I think I predicted it would go, close to $1,000. What do you think it went for?
Well, I mean, if you don't think it was even close, what, 700?
Oh, 530.
Wow.
Yeah, this is
All
complete with
right.
all documentation and
I mean, I've
boxes
seen
and
regular Macintoshes,
yeah,
Mac
colors,
Color
right?
Classics go for about that.
Yeah,
Huh. It's weird how, all of a sudden something will be like a surge in a price on something.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. And then what else did we have? The 9600/300 Power Macintosh.
Right.
This one is still available for a buy it now of $495.
Hmm.
There is no make an offer. Okay, we'll begin this week with vintage 1980s Apple Macintosh Plus wooden storage box with floppy disks.
Okay. So since you mentioned the
Yes.
floppy disks, I
Yes.
have to say, looking at these pictures,
Yes.
who on earth puts their floppy disks
Shutter side up.
metal side up in
Well, they're probably
yeah.
not labeled, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
Are they just
come
blank? They
on.
look. Yeah.
I think they were
Well,
just blank. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure they're
There's some writing on some of them, but yeah, they are labelless for the most part.
sure.
Yeah, that's
So
weird.
I have one of these boxes too, but it does not have the nice gold foil sticker on the inside of
Yeah,
the
that's
lid the way this one does.
And so you have the Macintosh Plus variant of this. There's one that just has, I think, an Apple
Yeah,
logo on it. Yeah,
I think it. Hang on.
yeah. The Macintosh Plus one. These are really nice boxes. Really nice. Official Apple computer made these, sold these, but I don't recall ever.
Macintosh
Oh,
Plus.
there's yours. Yeah.
Oh,
The
you know
gold.
what?
You got the label?
Right. Totally right.
Oh my goodness gracious! Look at. Wait, show that again. Oh look, you've got. Maybe I have. Maybe I have one in mine. I'll have to check. Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just about to say I hadn't. Don't remember seeing one, and then you produced one from your vast
This is not my
archives of
auction.
stuff.
Just saying, this is not my auction.
Yeah. That's what I was going to point out is the cool little label there that existed, and it's just a little foil thing, right? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
it was designed to be, and it's funny that it's on
Peeled
the
off.
inside, like yours
It's
is on the inside.
Yeah,
Like I wonder,
yeah.
was it always just on the inside, and then you're supposed
It
to just
must have been.
peel it off and throw it away? Because I mean,
But
I
like you
don't
said,
know.
these
It's
are
weird.
really nice boxes. I mean, just
Yeah. Do you
yeah.
store anything in yours?
Yeah,
Is it just
I've got 400K floppies in it. This sits next to my Mac Plus, the
oh
one that's signed by Jimmy Doohan.
okay?
Yeah.
Well, they want to buy it now of $99.98, which I think it's pretty fair. There's also a make an offer.
Sure.
It ships from Arvada, Colorado. This one is in pretty good shape. Sometimes you'll see them scraped up, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that little painted overlay that says Macintosh Plus with the logo, you'll see that scraped up. But
Mm-hmm.
this one's in good shape. Inside is clean, and plus you get a lot of floppy disks as a bonus.
Absolutely.
I think that's a buy right there. Offer them 75 and it's a deal. Then you get the whole thing for about 100 shipped. So, yeah, good one. Okay, what's next?
All right, next up, and this is kind of jumping the gun because I had
I
a
guess I should
question
put it up there.
concerning one of the articles in the Macworld that we're covering, and you informed me of this. Now, this is
Yeah.
the Macintosh XL screen kit inbox for the Apple Lisa, 3 discs, 3 chip, and a manual. So my question I had was, in the article they talk about the rebranding of the Lisa 2s as the Mac, to Macintosh,
Mm-hmm.
and they were showing the screen
Mm-hmm.
shots because the Lisa had more pixels and they were not square pixels.
No.
So if you
they
had
were
like a Mac Paint,
yeah.
document open, everything was squished left and right and stretched height wise.
Very
Terrible.
strange.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I would be so mad as if I got one of these and then opened up Mac Paint, and instead of taking advantage of, you had just this mess to deal with if you're trying to do graphics. Just so you say this fixes it.
This fixes it. This gives you your square pixels. So if you wanted to do a full conversion of your Lisa to run Macintosh software pixel perfect, you had to do this. And I can't recall the last time I've seen one of these conversion kits with the box and the software, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It does say in the description. So the title is just Macintosh XL Screen Kit in box, right? But it says originally a neck cable was included, but it's missing.
Oh, see, so that might be an
That would
issue
be
then
important.
also still. Yeah.
Yeah, because it must change the signals somehow or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it's changing the thing that goes on the back, that's part of the deflection, right? So that tells you how many scan lines and everything it's producing, if I'm remembering correctly. But if you just want this box, $149 is the current. It's got one bid right now at $149.99. So you can place a bid. Let's see, this ends in 3 days, so this ends on Thursday.
All right. And finally, it's a little lot here. The title is Vintage Apple Power Macintosh G4 3 quantity and 2 monitors. Description says 2 work, 1 might with some TLC, and 2 monitors. 1 works but has a broken foot, and
what was it with these
doesn't.
and missing the leg on the back? Holy cow. I have run across so many of these out in the wild.
They snap off
where
or what?
They must just snap.
Yeah.
Which, you don't think of that issue with the clear graphics, with the clear acrylics, but it would appear to be the case with these monitors. Either that or, it's my guess, people were picking it up by that leg as opposed to like supporting the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so you've got 3 G4s representing 3 generations of G4.
Sure.
Going from like
Sawtooth, quad nostril, and mirror door drive, right? Or the
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
Yeah, and the mirror door drive with 2 it's like 117 and 120 inch Apple LCD cinema display.
Fortunately, it's the 20 that's missing the back, the kickstand.
Yeah. You'd have to prop it up somehow. They're nicely displayed in a field on a piece of cardboard.
Well, I like my Macintoshes to be free range.
So, they propped up the 1 monitor against a rusty old piece of something. But actually, they look like they're pretty good shape here from distance. Let me get any close-up shots. And they say 2 of them work. But you know what? $150 is all they're asking. And there's a lot of nice-looking hardware.
Local pickup, I have to say, because you do not want to ship all this stuff.
That would be
it would cost more
prohibitive.
than $150. Coming out of Waterport, New York.
$150. I think you got to buy there.
Sure.
All right. Well, we'll find out next week. This one ends in 3 days.
We got a few more people. Andrew, Eric. Hello.
Do you hear when you talk? I get like a high pitched whining, like a. I don't know if anybody in the chat, if you hear that when John say something.
Unfortunately, that is probably this.
Yeah, it sounds like noise. It sounds like but it's weird. But it's only when you talk.
Probably noise reduction kicking in. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
So gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's the fan on the iMac. Alas,
bad iMac.
That's why Jobs hated those things. Oh, I do like Andrew points out that he's in, I'm not going to pronounce that, but New Zealand, and he can assure us that his floppies are the right way up. So
okay, good. All right. I guess we're going on to Macworld, right? Is that what's next? That's the order of
That's
business. All right, let's do it in 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to turn back the clock 40 years and look back at May/June 1984, Macworld magazine. Downloaded this issue, and you can get all the issues at archive.org. This one's a very nice scan of this one, by the way.
Yes.
It looks
Yeah.
like they digital. At least the cover here looks like it's always been like digitally retouched. it, it looks like it looks better than the magazine might have looked. But anyway, obviously the first year of Macintosh here, and the front shows picture perfect Macintosh charts with the Macintosh showing multi-plan to run charts, and then we talk about the Lisa 2 connection. Macintosh goes to college and working with a single drive Mac. So let's thumb through here. There are a few pages that caught our eye, and we'll go first to page 25, where there's an ad for an Apple modem, the Apple modem 300 specifically, but they also had the 1200 at the time. And what was it about the ad that caught your
So
eye?
one of the things that I wanted to mention is they talk about. Let's see here. I'm trying to see where it says it now. Basically, you get this modem, and one of the things they talk about is offering a. They throw in a subscription offer to The Source.
The Source.
And a free demonstration of CompuServe. Together, they let you access almost any subject known to mainframes. So The Source was a online community, modem text-based that started back in the 70s.
Wow.
And ran until about 1986. And the only reason I had ever heard of it is there is a podcast called Advent of Computing. Highly recommend it. And he does an episode on The Source. So, yeah.
Wow. Never heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Good catch. On page 26, I think it is, there's a reference to Fat Mac, the memory expansion for the Mac.
Mm-hmm.
And you were wondering,
it got me wondering
where that came from, the term.
Right,
Fat
yeah.
Mac.
Was this like one of the first references to the 512K Mac as the Fat Mac? I mean, that's what we kind of know it as.
Yeah.
And we just assumed it was, so I'm assuming that must have been used internally at Apple, calling it the Fat Mac. Or
Maybe.
is this who did this article? Are they the ones that coined Fat Mac? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's sort of it's just the title there, the little section, Fat Mac, like as if everybody knows what that is already.
Yeah, right.
So maybe it was used before, but
so in this, they're talking about trying to get a hold of enough 256K chips to and that's all it would take is if you had 256K chips, you can upgrade it, but you have to know how to solder. But what they were doing is they were swapping out the entire logic board, which that couldn't have been cheap.
No.
To get an upgrade like that versus just getting the chips and doing it yourself, which I'm sure a lot of more industrious people probably did.
Well, I've got this page open. There's a great if I can get this stupid thing to scroll. Photo here of, why don't this come over to me? Let's try it. Oh my gosh, it just wants to select text. Let's go drive me crazy. There's a picture of some Mac team members demonstrating a Mac at a dealer.
Oh, yeah.
You see some familiar faces there. If I could get it to scroll over. There we go.
I see Andy Hertzfeld in there. Sure.
This was January 24th. This went down at a dealership. The day the Mac was introduced, after spending years and months developing the Mac, they were thrilled to see their creation come to life in the outside world. And yeah, there's Andy Hertzfeld right there. Look at that. And then look at what else we got there. You got an Apple II, probably an Apple IIe sitting there with a couple disk drives and
image writer.
Everybody having fun.
Very nice.
All right, let's go to. I think we want to go here. Oh, this is really cool. The 12-foot Mac, a 12 by 8 Mac, greeted visitors entering the SoftCon trade show in New Orleans. A brainchild of James Ferris and Steve Jobs, the giant Mac was designed from the housing blueprints for the Mac and used the Mac's calculator to rescale the model. Icon, a model shop near Apple's offices in Cupertino, California, constructed the huge replica. Carpenters built a wooden framework, applied a styrofoam base, and covered it with auto body putty, which then they sanded and scrubbed and spray painted to replicate the Mac. Then they connected a General Electric light valve projector with a cable interface to a regular Mac, and through a series of mirrors set up for rear projection, images being created on the Mac by the person demonstrating it were also shown on the giant screen. The GE projector was originally developed for the Mac Roadshow that preceded the Mac's introduction.
So the first thing I saw when I saw this was like, I need a new garden shed.
What do you think happened to that? I mean, wouldn't that be awesome if that still was around somewhere?
Gosh.
Even if in like
I hope somebody is
disassembled?
using it as a garden shed or something. I really do hope this still exists somewhere.
That would be the greatest
Oh my gosh.
piece of
right?
memorabilia ever. Look at that. It's, I mean, it's
12.
It's glorious.
12 feet. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is something. All right, let's see. We're going to go to page. Oh, did you want to say there's words from Woz here? This is kind of interesting. See, because while Woz wasn't, he wasn't on the Mac development team,
Yeah, you have to
made some
remind me what
comments
page
there.
it is because I forgot to. Oh yeah, page
I don't
29.
know.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's good. We're good.
Yeah.
So this is just something that he was. I forget what he was speaking. Or they were talking to Steve Wozniak,
Mhm.
and one of the things he talks about was the development team. Most of the people working on the Mac were old timers like Burl Smith and Andy Hertzfeld and Bill Atkinson. They didn't need a lot of outside assistance. We found out that building a machine from the ground up is about a 3-year project, so we have a lead of several years in this area. Of course, there will be many skin-deep Macs that have the appearance, pulled-on menus, windows, icons, etc., of an authentic Mac, and they may seem to run easily, but they won't have the foundation of an entire operating system and user interface. Wozniak believes the Mac-style user interface will predominate by the end of the 80s. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's talking about other companies basically,
Right. Adopting
trying to use the Mac user interface, but not having the polish and the right.
Yeah, as they did. Did it dominate by the end of the 80s?
Well, Windows
not quite.
point
It was getting there.
1.0 came. It was that early 90s.
Yeah, there was still a lot of text-based stuff going on. A
Yeah.
lot of command line stuff by the end of the 80s. All right, let's see. We're going to go now to page 54, I think is what you wanted to look at. This is the Lisa connection. So, the Lisa is still around at this point. And there was a big article here kind of breaking down a little Lisa history, but then also the comparing and contrasting Macintosh and Lisa.
But they also mentioned talking about it being rebranded as a Mac.
Mac
correct?
XL. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where it talks about the rectangular pixels, and you can see their shot of what it looks like if you look at a Mac Paint on a Mac and you look Mac Paint on the Lisa without that conversion kit that we talked about earlier. And you can see the stretching and squeezing that's going on there.
Terrible.
If you're making
As a
architectural
graphic designer,
drawings,
as a graphic designer, this just
yeah.
this irks me more than the floppy disks upside down in that.
Well, I
box.
should hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was an oddity of Lisa. And let's see. Is there something else on here you wanted to show? I don't know.
No, the next thing for me was on page 70.
All right. We're going to go to 70. Redefining user-friendly, an interview with members of the Macintosh user education team.
Including a picture of Chris Espinosa. It looks like he needed a hall pass to attend this photo shoot.
Still with Apple after all these years.
Uh-huh.
Now 40 plus years.
But yeah, but
Um,
they talked about their philosophy of making the model of making the manuals and making them as user friendly as the Mac. And there was one comment by Espinoza that really stood out. The easiest way to keep documentation short is to have a program do the right thing in the first place and do something useful. Several times when Bill Atkinson, who wrote Mac Paint, was reading Carol Collar's documentation, he saw that certain things were difficult to explain. That's a sure sign for to the programmer that the program needs work. So whenever Bill read a draft of something that she wrote, if there were more than a certain number of words, he would change the program code because that meant that the procedure was too complicated.
mm,
I mean, how cool is the amount of back and forth,
yeah,
you know, that there was on this project that made the Mac the Mac. So
right,
pretty
right.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously, ideally, it would become so easy that you didn't need documentation. Um,
Sure. Well, they go into that also. How
yeah,
it's not everyone needed it because it was as simple as it was, but
right,
there were a lot of people that this may have been their first computer. They meant and especially with it being a
sure.
mouse for the first time.
Yeah, once
So
you get over obviously the conventions, the basics need to be understood, and then from there you can pretty much learn to use any application with the common interface. And boy, the manuals were beautiful, are beautiful
mhm,
still. You can see the breakdown here,
absolutely,
just
yeah,
the layout and everything. Very just made it fun to learn how to use. I mean, talk about right. Even in the manuals um, were fun and user friendly, right?
yeah.
Unlike a handbook or a manual you'd read for a mainframe or something. More like a textbook. Okay, now we're gonna fast forward to page 114. And I like this article. It's called How the Macintosh Works, the Bits
Mm,
and Bytes of Computing on the Mac. And this is great because it just kind of breaks down computers and how the Mac works and all the different
yeah,
pieces in a very kind of computer 101 way. What is RAM and how does the keyboard talk to the processor, and little diagrams that show how information flows, and you know, the fundamentals really that I think, gosh, I would say less people than ever know any of this. It's kind of like, people used to know how to work on their cars,
sure, right,
but
right,
they
right,
became
right.
so complicated. Computers really operated pretty much all based on this, right? There's just more of it. There's more
Yeah,
RAM and there's more, but there's still
hmm
bits and bytes and there's still buses and all these things. And um, I gotta think that few people know any of this today, right? But it's so it's if you don't have this, you sort of lose
it's
this kind of basis of understanding for how a computer works at all.
sure, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
S-
it's more users versus the
mhm.
really into the depth of it. So you're just a few pages away though from the fact that the robot on page 121, just in the
Oh,
fonts, they talk about some of the special characters that are in the font, and
yeah.
I didn't know there was a robot. Love it.
So these
So
are it says open window exchange of Macintosh Discovery secret characters within the fonts,
hmm
and so they
hmm
print them all out here. And so that's the New York font. And so I guess is it a key combination that reveals the
yeah,
robot?
yeah. They talk about using the different key combinations to
Uh-huh.
the secret characters are created in a part of a resource editor called the font editor. Let's see here. Somewhere in the article it mentions the
Yeah.
keyboard shortcut. Oh yeah, that does remind me. There was one other keyboard shortcut that they mentioned earlier in this issue that I didn't realize went back that far. The screen capture. They talk about when they were talking about doing the layout for the magazine and how a lot of the stuff that you see in the magazine, even like the color
Mm-hmm.
stuff, started as something done like in Mac Paint, and then captured using the screen capture keyboard shortcut, Shift Command 3, which is,
Still
I mean, we're
today.
talking we're talking like on the original Mac. I did not realize it had been around that long, and I just love that.
Yeah, that a screen capture back then, because that's a pretty powerful thing. I mean, it took a while before even the iPhone got it. Um, One of the things I was back at these fonts. Of course, this is before TrueType and
Scaling font,
before
right?
scaling
Yeah, you
fonts, so
had you
you had
had
to individually
yeah.
create
Mm-hmm.
the individual fonts and use more pixels. So um, there we go. Open one, and there's some more. You had Toronto had some stuff. Chicago, London, and Athens. All these sort of hidden things that you could reveal. Almost could say these are like the original emojis or
Yeah,
such a
absolutely.
thing, right?
Sure.
Wonder why the robot there. Um, let's see. I think there was one more thing. But wait, there's one more thing. International Macintosh. I found this was a good article here. They're talking about how the Mac is the first personal computer designed for the international market. And that international flavor sets it apart from other personal computers. And of course, we here in the US, we just use the American one. And every once in a while you'll see stuff for sale that reflected parts from another country,
Sure.
special language keyboards and such. But you got to stop and remember that it was really kind of tailor made for the international market because of such things as icons, for example, just the sheer use of icons on the hardware on the back panel to connect the various ports. So there's no language there. It's it's universal.
Yeah, pictographs. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so this article goes through and just talks about how they did the very tailoring for different languages, and of course, the bitmap graphics itself lends itself to making different languages, of course. So very interesting. And then the Macworld gallery at the end with some user submitted drawings in Macworld or Mac Paint, presumably the square pixel version of Mac Paint. Everything looks normal. All right. Well, that was May-June 1984 in Macworld magazine. Boy, we talked forever on that one.
So Eric was mentioning the phone sitting on top of the modem. So I'll show this off real quick before we go on to
Eric's Edge says we're talking about Windows 2.0. Yeah, Windows 1 was 89, but not many people were using it, right? Wasn't that widespread.
There we go.
It was DOS. Oh, yes. There you go. You got the red phone to call the White House or whatever. All right. I'm going to go do some news now, I think. Let's see. All right. You ready? Let's do news in 3, 2, 1. Okay, well, if you tuned into the WWDC keynote hours ago, you were treated with a very exciting intro, which had some retro flair to it. I'm just going to go ahead and play that.
Big day, everyone. Biggest day of the year. Who's fired up? Beth is fired up. Doctor? Rockwell? One more thing. Just have fun out there. Okay, Phil.
I'm getting too old for this stuff.
Did you see his patch? Yeah, the skull and crossbones on his patch on his shoulder.
Great. Fantastic. Oh, love it. Oh my gosh, they all look like they're about to get into the Apple branded race car.
Notice the helmet.
Oh my gosh, that is brilliant.
There's the patch again. Of course, 6-color stripes everywhere.
I'm so glad that they're doing more of the 6-color again. That is great.
And then finish with Tim Cook standing on the top of Apple Park.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, that was so exciting. Of course, the 6-color stripes everywhere, including on the plane. You know, Phil's got his original iPod on the dash playing Motley Crue. So much 80s nostalgia packed in there. But yeah, they showed it a second time. You saw the skull and crossbones that flew over the Macintosh team, over their building, kind of almost flying it in the face of the Lisa folks.
The Apple II. Oh,
yeah.
Apple II also, right?
Yeah.
I believe, yeah.
Well, everybody else. Anybody not on the Macintosh team. Great intro. No new hardware announcements today. It was all about the various OSs. The big thing being, of course, Apple Intelligence, how they're going to incorporate AI into all the operating systems to give you all kinds of cool creative capabilities and integration among apps. It's going to be so much fun playing with that stuff. But yeah, that's about it. That's what you get, the little retro flair at the beginning, and then the rest is just the cool stuff. It is Mac OS Sequoia is the new operating system.
Okay.
And by now I've lost track. Can anybody name them? What was the first one? Do you remember?
Oh, the first California named one?
No, I'm talking about OS 10. What was it named?
Oh, well,
was it
Cheetah?
Puma or Cheetah or something? Yeah, something. Puma. Okay, yeah. See, Gray Hair says it's Puma. That's what I was thinking. And then maybe Cheetah was after that. Yeah, they did cats for a while, right? You had your tiger and your lion, and
I think Mountain Lion was the last.
Mountain Lion. Wasn't there something that was some gray cat? No, I can't remember. Anyway, that's enough of that. I didn't mention this the other day because it's not necessarily retro Apple, but it is retro. And I've been talking to John about this offline, how Apple had opened up the door to game emulators finally. It was about a month or so ago. It hit the news again because I guess somebody tried to release an emulator that would run Windows on an iOS device, and Apple nixed that because they said that their emulator allowance only permits you to do like consoles and game machines, not pull up operating systems like Windows. So maybe they'll find another way. But
yeah, if Apple doesn't just finally release like an Apple, Mac.
Oh, wouldn't that
emulator?
Their own?
Their own.
Yeah, because they can't. Well, that would violate their own rule.
Well, yeah, but
I guess if you make the rules,
violate,
that's true.
Right?
Yeah, those rules are for the App Store, not themselves. But yeah, wouldn't that be fun if they did that? All right, over on the YouTube, This Does Not Compute has a video repairing an unreleased prototype Mac tablet, and I think this just hit not long ago, and I actually haven't had a chance. I scrolled through it just to see, but what you're looking at is an unreleased prototype of a tablet style Mac based on like a Mac like Duo, I think, type parts. And on the video, get a hold of it, make some repairs, and actually get the thing running. So I'm going to check it out later. And gosh, I think that's it. I think that's all we have for the news. So yeah, go watch that video. Okay. All right. Are we ready to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. Well, that ends another episode of the RetroMacCast. Next week, are we back? Yes.
Yes.
Good. I'm on board. We'll be back for more RetroMac goodness. Thanks to those that join us in the chat. Eric's Edge, Gray Hair Discoveries. Yes. And Andrew, who else do we hear from? And Andy East Coast. Join us occasionally on Monday evenings at 7:30 p.m. where we do this live and get a little interaction with the crowd going, and then maybe show some extra stuff. Of course, it makes it more interesting given the visuals.
Absolutely.
You can see our layers. What's going on in our studios. Speaking of which, I'm going to share something in the bonus time after we end the
great.
episode.
Okay.
So I'll tease that. All right. Well, until next week, remember, it's not old.
It's retro.
Okay. It's lunchtime in New Zealand. What do I got? You see my background? You see what Steve's holding?
Maybe
I was looking at my bookshelf.
I can't quite see.
I was looking at my bookshelf the other day, and I saw this book, and then it reminded me a couple of different ways of something we had just talked about last week. Remember last week I stumbled and never showed the video where Justin Long does a promotional thing where he's not a Mac anymore.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but I was reminded of the I'm a Mac, I'm a PC ad campaign. And then that connected me to this book.
Could you make yourself bigger so I can?
Could I make myself bigger?
Just you on the screen. Yeah.
You can make your window bigger on your screen too. Can you do that? Oh. This book, The World According to Twitter by David Pogue, which, of course, it's not even called Twitter anymore. I think David Pogue still calls himself David Pogue. And I was trying to remember the story of this because it was published back in 2009, so it's been a minute since it came out. And I opened up the cover and it says, "For James, RetroMacCast," signed David Pogue on the inside.
Nice.
I was like, why did he sign this book? And then it kept. Do you remember?
He was at one of the Macworld expos we went to.
What happened?
You've also come to a couple of events.
He did, and I've met him several times that way, but that's not how this came to be. The best I can remember is that he crowdsourced this book. So what he would do is he would say, he would tweet out a question or, a request for something, and then people would answer via Twitter, and then he would compile the funniest responses.
Ah, okay.
And then I believe for all those that were selected, and there were a lot, you had the opportunity to maybe buy the book at a discount, or maybe you got it for free. I don't know. And then he would sign them and send them to you. Nice. So I had submitted one and got it published in this book. And so if I go to page 175, 175, the question he said was, "What's the best vanity license plate you've seen or owned?" And there was a whole couple of pages,
including one of yours.
A couple of pages on this, and yes, including one of mine.
Nice.
Which is right there. By RetroMacCast, it says, "I'm a Mac." I'm a Mac. And that was my license plate for many years.
Fantastic. Very nice.
There it is. Somewhere I have that. I should find that license plate and put it up someplace.
You should.
I know I have it.
Yeah.
I know I saved it. It's not on the car anymore, but it's somewhere. So yeah, for years and years and years, I had I'm a Mac, and I can't tell you how many times I would get some comment from somebody in a parking lot telling me that Macs suck. People are very angry out there. I didn't continue it because after the ad campaign finished, and so I switched plates. But yeah, for a long time they ran that campaign. It was a cool license plate to have. All right. Well, that's your little bonus item.
Nice.
Okay. I guess we'll wrap it up. Are you good? Anything else you want to
Nope,
mention?
we're good here.
Okay. All right. Well, let's play a little music and we'll do our sign off and be on our way.
Bye, all.
Bye bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the RetroMacCast with James and John. Email listener comments and questions to retromaccast@gmail.com or post comments on our website at www.retromaccast.com.